Good afternoon. Anne kindly invited me here today to speak to you on the topic of rights issues and what the options are available to you as a result of the recent Trigonal rights issue announcement. My presentation should last around 8 minutes, and I'd be happy to take questions at any stage throughout the presentation, but I'll also invite questions at the end. Before I begin, can I just check that everyone can hear me clearly and can see the screen? Great. So the specific aims of my presentation today are to firstly discuss what a rights issue is, secondly to consider why Trigonal announced a rights issue, and thirdly to consider what the options are available to you as a result of this recent announcement. I'll end with the summary, and after which I'll be happy to take any questions. Okay, so let's start by looking at what a rights issue is. Companies low in cash often use rights issues to raise money when they really need it. A rights issue involves offering existing shareholders like yourselves the opportunity to purchase discounted shares at current market price. The invitation to purchase shares is based on the amount of shares you currently hold. So with Trigonal, they're currently offering you 2 discounted ordinary shares for every 5 ordinary shares you currently hold. So in your case, your club could purchase up to 400 shares because you currently hold 1,000. With rights issues, there's a limited time on when you can accept the offer. And with Trigonal's rights issue, you have up to 1 month to accept. So good so far? Okay, so now that we know what a rights issue is, let's consider why Trigonal would have announced a rights issue. This is important because this will help us determine whether or not we should accept or reject the offer. Whilst the offer of discounted shares can be tempting, it's important that you, the shareholders, are aware of the reason why Trigonal would choose to offer discounted shares. It may be that the purpose of Trigonal's rights issue is to fund expansion and growth, for example, to fund a takeover and acquisition. However, it may also be that they are using a rights issue to pay off debt or to rescue the company from financial difficulty. It may not bode well for the future of the company if this is the case, and if it is, you should exercise caution when determining whether or not to accept the rights issue. There are other reasons why Trigonal may have decided on a rights issue. It may be, though, that there are no other options of finance available to them, or it could be that they don't want to increase their level of borrowing any further. Rights issues also have the advantage of enabling Trigonal to maintain their current ownership with their shareholders, and it's also a cheaper option of raising finance than a complete public share issue. So now that we've seen the reasons why Trigonal announced a rights issue, or may have announced a rights issue, let's consider the possible options available to you. You could choose one of 3 things. You could choose to subscribe to the share issue and to purchase the discounted shares, or you could choose to sell part or all of the shares to an existing shareholder and to make a capital gain in light of this. Or you could choose to do nothing and let the offer expire. So let's first have a look at option 1. As I've previously mentioned, Trigonal is offering the option of purchasing 2 discounted shares for every 5 that you currently own. So you have the option of purchasing 400 shares at £1.20 each. That's 11% discount. That's an 11% discount on the current market share price. If you choose this option and pay £480 for the 400 shares, it'll mean that current share prices are diluted. However, the loss you'll be making on your existing shareholdings will be compensated by the gain you'll make in the 400 new shares that you've purchased. So in this case, you will lose 4 pence on the 1,000 shares that you currently hold, but this will be offset by the 11 pence gain that you will make on the 400 shares that you will be purchasing. Before you choose this option, you'll need to consider whether or not you firstly have the £480 to purchase the 400 shares, or whether you'll be able to get this before the option expires. And secondly, the reason why Tregonal is offering the rights issue, as this will impact whether or not you actually want to increase your exposure to them or not. The second option would be to sell part or all of your shares to another shareholder. Another shareholder might be willing to purchase the discounted shares at a price of anything up to 4 pence per share, or 11 pence per share, sorry. So you have the potential of making up to a £44 capital gain if you sell your 400 shares at 11 pence per share. The 11 pence being the difference between the rights issue price and the price after the rights issue has gone through. In this circumstance, you, the club, would need to consider whether you might choose this option if you don't have the £480 available to you, or you do but you don't want to increase your exposure any further into Tregonal. Again, in this case, the share prices will still be diluted to £1.31, but you will be making a capital gain on the other side of things. And then the third option is to do nothing and to let the rights issue expire after 1 month. You might choose this option if you didn't have the £480 available to you, or if there weren't shareholders available willing to purchase the discounted shares. Again, in this circumstance, the shares will be diluted and they'll only be worth £1.31 after the rights issue. So I'd now like to move on and summarise the key points of my presentation. As you've seen, a rights issue is a method of raising additional money for a company. It involves offering existing shareholders the opportunity to purchase discounted shares based on the proportion of shares they currently hold. In order for you have 3 possible options available to you in the case of Tregonal's rights issue announcement. You could possibly subscribe to the rights issue and purchase the discounted shares, or you could sell part or all of the shares and make a capital gain by doing so, or you could choose to do nothing and let the rights issue expire. May I remind you that when deciding whether to accept Tregonal's rights issue, it's important that you exercise caution and that you consider the reason why Tregonal is using a rights issue to raise money, as this would have a big impact on this could have an impact on your investment portfolio in the future. So that concludes my presentation. I'm very happy to take any questions you might have at this point. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, I'd like to thank you for listening and remind you of my contact details if you think of any questions in the future. Thank you.